Good morning, and I'm on YouTube. I'm on this X. I'm waiting for these commissioners to go live. I don't know if they will. We'll see. I don't know if they will go live because they were supposed to be live before. This is the ancient druid equinox sounds, nature sound retreat on YouTube for those on X. And it's just one of those mornings where they were live earlier, then they cut off their live. They went into closed session. I am with the Washington County, Maryland County Commissioners meeting. They generally go live on Tuesdays. Tuesdays is Mars Day, and we have the season of Mars, which is Aries season. So we just entered Aries season on the 20th on Friday. And I'm just going to wait for them to go live. Astrologically very creative. So with all that creative energy, there is a lot happening in our personal lives. But again, nature, what we have happening personally is also happening politically, is also, there's layers to this. So I have my tea. I am just kind of waiting for them, but to recap of the astrology, I do have a video on the spring equinox from last week. But on March 20th, the sun entered Aries at 10:46 a.m. That is Eastern Standard Time, and that was the energy of our equinox. And then Mercury, who was retrograde, went direct on the same day at 3:33 p.m. That is the Eastern Standard Time. And then this week, notably, there's not a lot of transits, but we do have a very creative energy influencing us in the sky. So I think that there's an astrologer who has an amazing video on this. Her name is Molly McCord, and she is on YouTube, and I think on Spotify and all the other places. She has a strong video on what Saturn sextile Pluto represents, but I'm going to note it here, it's called an aspect, where think of it as like the skipping sign aspect. So we're like, Saturn is at 5 degrees of Aries, you skip one sign, and at 5 degrees Aquarius, Pluto sits. So the way I look at this this aspect is complete creativity. And so that is like, do your creative projects, but it's also just being in creative flow. Now, Pluto is power. So it is about putting power to your creative projects, your creative rebirth in a lot of ways. And I actually pulled a card for the week, which was about collective awakening. And I do think that this is the card of collective awakening. There are enlightening aspects in the sky as well. So we just have to kind of trust that these enlightening aspects are really here for our own good. And I'm going to refresh the page because sometimes the live stream does not show up. They were live for 35 minutes when they went, or 25 minutes earlier this morning. I don't know if they were doing their video equipment or what, but it does not look like they are live. So if they don't go live, I'm going to be kind of sad. There's been some updates to what's going on here in Maryland, and I'm going live with them because personally I am on the autism spectrum, and I have to recalibrate what my form of activism is for me, because as I unmask autism, which has been an ongoing, look who's right in the middle. This is the collective awakening card. I have to recalibrate what that means for my energy. I do find a lot of times in certain communities, the cause is there, and then it becomes something related to one-ups, like competition in a lot of ways. And as somebody who is on the spectrum, I see patterns right before, so I just want to. I'm an intuitive tarot card reader, an intuitive astrologer. It's very hard for me to be around crowds of people, let alone even go to the grocery store these days. So I'm doing what I can do. It's not perfect, but it's what I can do at this time. So I don't necessarily think that what I'm doing is going to have a big impact on anything, but I think that energy is very important, and the way that we use our energy is very valuable. So I'm recalibrating how I look at activism because, I'm an old timer at this point, and I've seen a lot of movements in the United States, and participated, through my union at the time in Occupy Wall Street, and, you know, just several movements throughout the years protested against Iraq-Afghanistan war, and I'm seeing a familiar pattern arise now. This time it's even scarier because we have these data centers, we have these concentration camps, call it what they are, and I just really, really don't want this in any town. I'm doing what I can do right now with the brain that I was given, and a lot of times, I'm going to be 100 on these videos. Last week I was on here and I was pushing through, the pain of just existing on this planet. But at the end of the day, the humanitarian side of this is these are concentration camps, and Maryland continues to delay this process. So I want to shout out people who are doing less woo-woo work than me, that are very boots on the ground, grassroots work. Project Saltbox, they are on Substack. Hagerstown Rapid Response, they have a petition email that you can sign up for on change.org. They actually put out an email, and I asked them for confirmation if I could share their email or share the email they sent out. So there was actually a public forum. Washington County deserves a voice call for public on hall and ice facility. This is their response for March 23rd, 2026. Closed door meetings are not enough. Washington County residents want answers in public. Before reading our letter to Governor Wes Moore and Representative Laney, watch this. They have a video linked on their change.org petition, and this is to Wes Moore of Maryland, and they're asking, thank you for your plans to visit Hagerstown and hold a community roundtable. That was yesterday, I believe. Don't quote me there. In press availability to address concerns about planned U.S. Immigration and Customs ICE enforcement detention facility in Washington County. We appreciate your work and that of our Maryland officials, including the Office of Attorney General, to pursue litigation to halt construction and operation of the unlawful ICE detention facility in Washington County, and applaud the OAG's swift and successful work obtaining a temporary restraining order, so they delayed the process. The OAG included a comment letter of several Washington County community organizations and Exhibit 1. So this is from, you can go to their change.org petition, and it's March 10th emergency motion citing concerns about the strain of the planned facility could pose on local resources. So this has to deal with like water and electricity, these type of resources on the county itself. As you know, Washington County communities have actively opposed the planned ICE detention center, holding multiple protests outside the Washington County of Maryland Board of County Commissioners, BOCC. So the only way people are heard in these commissioner hearings generally are through protests, because public comment is not allowed. Although last week they had public comment on one of their items, which people were able to discuss regarding 911, where a woman named Taj Smith, who is running for county commissioner, was discussing, she has a whole letter on her Facebook page, Taj Smith. A lot of their local pages are through Facebook. They are actually not, this is how small this town is. They don't really have a lot other than Facebook. So it's kind of difficult, but her mic got cut and she stood her ground. She's the president of the NAACP in Hagerstown or Washington County, and she is running. So I hope she wins. I am not affiliated with anybody. I'm not even a resident of this county, but this is part of where, I grew up in Maryland. This is my hometown, my home state. So going back to this letter, let me just kind of forward. Despite the planned ICE detention facility in Williams, so it's like a tiny town next to Washington County. These are like little farm towns. Despite the planned ICE detention facility in Williamsport gaining national attention, there is a severe lack of public forums for Washington County and Maryland residents to express their views on this facility that will impact our community so drastically. We at Hagerstown Rapid Response call on you to additionally hold a public town hall on this topic so all voices in the Washington County community with concerns about the planned detention center can be heard. And I absolutely agree with this. And then they say, we appreciate your attention to this request and look forward to hearing from you. And then sincerely, Hagerstown Rapid Response. There's other there's Cat Ladies for America. She is on Instagram. She also does incredible work. Again, I am not affiliated, so I know that I am woo-woo and a little bit more conspiro leaning, so please do not put any of the things I say on any of the people that I share, because I think it's important for these people's accounts to be looked at, especially they're doing more community-based work, and I'm doing astrology and tarot. But one thing that I recognize is, like, over the years, I have looked back at things that I have been looking at, and I realize, you know what, trust my intuition as well. So I'm going live. I don't know how it's going to sound on, this is the first time I'm ever bringing this to my
open dialogue between our agencies and expressed a desire to maintain ongoing communication and collaboration.
on their
future meetings
Facebook page. They only go live on their
and the
Facebook.
county commissioners of Washington County are committed to ensuring that residents have all available information as it becomes available. We also understand that a meeting was held yesterday that was scheduled by Congresswoman April McLean Delaney by invitation only. The Board of County Commissioners was not invited to that roundtable discussion of community leaders.
Wow.
And that's everything that I have for today.
And point of clarification, on the March 16th meeting, it was stated the Board of County Commissioners, it wasn't the full board. It was only, were you able to name the people who attended that meeting?
I sure can. So the attendees of that meeting were Commission President John Barr, myself as the County Administrator, Zach Kiefer, our County Attorney, Sheriff Brian Albert, and Colonel Pete Lazich.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the public hearing, but that's not scheduled to 9:30. So we need to make sure that we hold off till exactly 9:30. Can we move forward on any of the other agenda items prior to next 15 minutes?
If the Red Cross is here, we could do that. I'm not sure if they're here yet.
I don't think anyone's here from Red Cross. I don't see.
Let's take a recess.
Yeah.
They just started.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else, I guess. So
Why don't you guys ask for people to just bring up their shoes? This is tough, you guys. This is
okay,
tough.
take a recess.
Yeah.
In light of the fact it's almost 15 minutes of recess, I'm going to have to ask, I guess, we clear the room. Okay. We'll reconvene at 9:30 for the public hearing.
Wow. They just on recess until 9:30. This is tough. So energetically, I just feel, and I'll just go to main screen. Energetically, I feel like in the United States, I'm just going to pull some cards. And I feel like in the United States, a lot of these county hearings, this is where stuff like this happens. A lot of these county meetings are being infiltrated. I do feel like on this specific, I'm going to share something from Project Saltbox that was also brought to light. I actually first heard of it through Hagerstown Rapid Response. I'm going to share an email on that. But I do think that a lot of these county commissioner hearings, or a lot of these counties, were infiltrated. And here's why. They had a prominent member on their commissioner board who served under the Trump administration in like intel, basically. And when I looked up his stat, when I looked up what he did, he's literally on like these very conservative political shows, morning shows, talking about Iran. I'm like, why is somebody talking about Iran that's now like, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, here's this detention facility. Obviously, these are my personal intuition, not facts, not proven. I'm a tarot reader. I'm an astrologer. Or I do tarot, I do astrology. We are, but I'm just feeling like this has been with both these data centers and these detention facilities, that this is like an infiltration within these small town, county, little boards. Like they're getting people in there that can do it. And that's just what my intuition is saying. And I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. And I'm just going to see what spirit, the action plan, the 2 of light codes, 2 of wands. There's like a direction here. 2 of wands is like a direction forward. So I'm wondering if what America is seeing right now, especially we had Valero. Now I know a lot of these refineries are constantly on fire. They're not like they're not safe. But this oil refinery that is on fire in Texas is very much of concern. We also have these meteors that are being seen across the United States. Ohio, last night was Michigan, Oregon, another one in Ohio, I think. So let me just ask, actually, I'm going to ask first about the meteors. When they go live again, I'll bring up the email, the more localized email, be in it, not of it. So I'm definitely in an of it mood. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is like the change or the Wheel of Life in this particular deck. So I'm just asking about the meteors, and it's almost like take the observers, like observe it, but don't try and stress about it. Don't think that it's. So let me just pull another card. What else do we need to know about these meteors? 9:30, they said it's 9:21. The Priestess of Activations. Okay, so I am going to share a story. Let me see if I can find it on my X. And just look up the boom. So on... Here we go. Justin Burke is a meteorologist. Justin Weather is his page. He is meteorologist, Baltimore. This is Baltimore, Maryland. College professor. He has a page on X. But there are these loud booms in Maryland 2 days in a row. And I saw Mr. MB333, who's also on X. He's like a sky watcher, saying there's booms elsewhere around the country, I think in Tennessee. So the 20th comes around, right? And I'm like watching the sky. I'm like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Intuitively, what's going to happen? And it's part of this card here. The Queen, this is the Priestess of Activations, the Queen of Swords. So we think of like a sword in the ground. We think of like this, I think of lightning, right? Okay, so I don't know a lot about lightning. And around 10:47 p.m., so that is exactly 12 hours after. So the sun entered Aries at 10:46 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at 10:47:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 hours later, there is this boom heard around both Maryland, and the report was coming out of Loudoun County, Virginia, which is very close by. So people heard this boom, they got it on their Ring cams, and it was linked to this lightning strike, but it was called a superbolt, which I've never heard of a superbolt, so we'll get into that in a moment. And the point that they saw this, like where they saw it on the map, is a place called Marleau Ridge in Jefferson, Maryland, which is in Frederick County, Maryland. Now, yes, it's a local thing, but I intuitively was like, there's something to this superbolt where it struck. So I put in the coordinates of Marleau Ridge, Maryland, to see what this place is. And it is a camp, and it is a retreat center and a camp. And let me read their thing. Camp and retreat center. About us, the Marleau Ridge, mission and history. Marleau Ridge is a year-round outdoor ministry of Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Now, look, their mission statement: rooted in Christ, we become all to encounter God's love through sacred hospitality, deepening relationships, and center for creation. They do camps, they do weddings, all this stuff. So yes, very, for the super Christians out there. And so I looked on the map of where Marleau Ridge is, and I zoomed out to kind of get a better idea of where this lightning struck. So this lightning struck in a very interesting place. It's near a place called Point of Rock, which is where the C&O Canal is off of the Potomac River. Now the Potomac River is having issues in the lower section of the Potomac. There's like there's like a giant sewage leak going in basically into the bay. And essentially it would be going into the ocean. So the other part about this is, let me zoom out of the map. Is it near? It's not really near the Monocacy battlefield. It could be, it's not even near Camp David. Things that I would be looking for is like, what battlefield is it associated with? Because this is an area that's very historically connected to the Civil War. Historically, up in this region, Frederick County is where the president has a supposed bunker. And there's different things that I kind of look at. But what kind of stood out to me is Point of Rocks, Maryland. And Point of Rocks is like where all three states meet. So West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia. And Point of Rocks, Maryland, what? So I have like 3 minutes until this meeting starts. So the Piscataway Indian Nation, or the native tribe associated as the Piscataway, and that is something that really stood out to me with this lightning strike, because this was a tribe that was here that essentially got kind of kicked out of Maryland, or at least this region of Maryland. And I kind of felt like a couple of different things. So I didn't know what a superbolt was, so I'm going to talk about it. Superbolts are rare and extremely powerful lightning strikes, up to 1,000 miles more energetic than the typical lightning. This is through Google. Capable of being observed from space. What are superbolts? They're associated a rare type of lightning discharge that release colossal amounts of energy, often exceeding 100 gigajoules compared to about a 1 gigajoule for a typical lightning bolt, making them 100 to 1,000 times more powerful than the ordinary lightning. They were first identified in the 1970s and have since been studied using modern satellites and ground-based networks. Their brightness is so intense that they can be detected from space, and they generally generate very strong electromagnetic waves that extend into a very low frequency range, reaching beyond Earth's atmosphere. So and then generally they are observed. Superbolts are extremely rare, making up less than 1% of all lightning strikes. Observations show clustering over the Northeast Atlantic Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Altiplano in Peru and Bolivia, among other regions. They occur more often in the winter and over water, which is opposite to the seasonal and geographic patterns of regular lightning. So I thought that was interesting that happened 12 hours after the exact time, pretty much to almost, it was like a minute after the exact time of the equinox. I'm still on this live meeting, waiting for them to go live. They said they would be live at 9:30. It's 9:30. And I just was like, is this a sign? Be it that there was this there have been these sightings of meteors. And the next day, I feel
Public hearing, application for zoning map amendment, RZ 25-010. And I have a statement to read here. The purpose of this hearing is to hear public testimony concerning the matter. The procedure is as follows. Staff will introduce the matter. Next, the applicant, having the burden of proof, will present their application
say hello.
and evidence. Following the applicant's presentation, the hearing will be open for public comment and testimony. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to testify. Testimony shall be limited only to proposed map amendment.
I do think the divine
Testimony
feminine
that is
part
not
of this.
relevant to the map
Origin
amendment
light.
or that which is repetitive,
I think the
disruptive,
lightning,
or otherwise impedes the orderly
was
conduct of this
like
public
what the
hearing
Key Bridge
will
was.
not be
When the
tolerated.
Key Bridge fell down in Baltimore, I said this.
Unauthorized
20
remarks,
What is it?
loud
2030?
noises, whistles,
That
yells,
was not what
or
was about to
similar
happen.
disruptions from the gallery shall not
Maryland
be
has
permitted.
something here.
Anyone who fails to follow these rules
I'm not.
forfeits their
I'm not
opportunity to
saying
testify
Maryland's the
and
state.
will be asked to
I'm
return
saying Maryland's
to their
history
seat
represents
or leave the meeting.
something.
Once
that
public
it
comment has
represents.
concluded,
Do I know
the
what it
hearing
is?
will close. There shall
That's
be
why
no
it's
donating of
referenced.
or pooling of time to allow any one person to speak longer than 3 minutes. After
It's your
everyone
gotta
wishes to
say.
speak has done so, the hearing will close. The commissioners
I'm just
may
glad I
then
apologize
discuss
for
the
it.
issue and provide direction to staff. Would everyone who plans to testify today, will you please stand to take the oath?
Okay, they're testifying on.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the responses given and the statements made will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
With that, I'm going to ask Kayla Shingleton, Comprehensive Planner, Planning and Zoning, will now introduce the matter.
Can they mic their people? They never mic people.
Is your microphone on?
Oh, there we go. Sorry. This is RZ 25-10. This is a rezoning text amendment for the property at 20511 Leitersburg Pike for applicants David and Jessica Testa. The property is a 29-acre parcel zoned agricultural rural, only 3 acres of which are subject to the rezoning. This rezoning will be an expansion of an established rural business which sits in front of the proposed rezoning. The proposed rezoning will be used as a display and storage lot for the already existing trailer sales on the abutting property. The rural
It's like
business
rezoning.
zoning district is established to permit the continuation and development of businesses to support the agricultural industry and farming community, serve the needs of the
Which is
rural
why this community
residential
was started
population,
to put in
provide for
DHS
recreation and
because it
tourism
is a farming
opportunities,
town.
establish locations for businesses and facilities not otherwise permitted in the rural areas of the county. It is established as a floating zone which may be located on any parcel in agricultural, environmental, conservation, preservation, or rural village zoning district. The factors to be considered in a request for the creation of a new RB zoning district are listed in Article 5E of the Washington County Zoning Ordinance. RB districts must designate a specific type of land use they wish to pursue at the location in the application materials and demonstrate the proposed use will be compatible with the existing neighborhood which surrounds it.
My cards are right.
Based on staff analysis in the applicant's justification statement, staff believes there is sufficient evidence the criteria outlined in Article 5E of the
Age of
zoning
Aquarius,
ordinance
the star.
has been met for the application of a rural business floating zone to the subject area. This rezoning was presented to the Washington County Planning Commission at a public information meeting held on during the regular meeting on December 1st, 2025. At that meeting, the members unanimously recommended in favor of the proposed map amendment. There's been no public comments have in favor or opposition of this proposal. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we will now hear from the applicant's case in chief.
Return of the Mother Tree.
Good morning, Mr. Wantz. How are you?
I think that is definitely related to the family of us on this planet. I really wish they would mic people.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Turned off. Now it's back on. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
My name is William C. Wantz. I represent Mr. and Mrs. David Testa. They're with me this morning. Also with me this morning is Aaron Schroyer. He's the owner of the subject property. Mr. Schroyer is the owner of a farm I'll go through the exhibits momentarily. He has been leasing part of his farm, an amount of land comprising 3 acres.
There's people protesting outside.
This existing trailer dealership. This type of trailer is the type that farmers would use, people with landscaping businesses would use.
You can hear people
It's currently
protesting.
zoned AR, but we've applied to, the farm is currently owned as AR. The trailer business is currently zoned RB. It was zoned RB several years ago in the comprehensive RB rezoning. We're now looking to expand that. Mr. Testa will testify this morning of the success that he's had in the business. And what I want to do in my brief presentation this morning is to go over the handout in the exhibits.
It's a good guy.
It will ask to be admitted into the record. Formally, I would ask that our justification statement, our application, all the attachments to the justification statement and application are offered into evidence. I ask that they be marked and so admitted. I'll go through those briefly.
Imagine
And I would
place
say, I've
the
been sworn and I would
concentration camp
indicate that all
where
of the
their
factual
job is
statements
to
in the application
zone
are
whether a
best
trailer is in the right place
if you
and
look at the
registered under.
packet, on the application, the first page, we're only dealing with 3 acres. It's zoned AR, it'll be rezoned if you so determine.
This is
to
what a
RB.
county commissioner's
That's a
job is.
floating zone, so we don't have to show any change or mistake criteria as we would
Fucking with
in
Trump.
non-floating zone rezonings. The owner's representative
I'll
affidavit
talk
is
to in a
present.
moment.
As far as
There's a
compatibility,
review.
Mr. Schroyer owns property both behind and on both sides of this 3-acre tract. And of course, the Testas own the property that comprises the existing dealership in the front. So it's surrounded on all 4 sides by property that's compatible and supportive of this application. Next is the justification statement.
The
This
fact that
includes
they
all
have
of
to
the
go through
criteria
this much
necessary for
justification to have a
approve
trailer on
RB
his
floating zone
lot
under the
to
pertinent
do
provisions
2
of the
different
zoning ordinance.
zonings.
Next, I want to go through and
Yet
highlight some of
there's
the
no
exhibits.
public commentary
First of all,
on
the
a
current
concentration
comprehensive plan
camp. Banana.
is consistent with this
Banana.
this undertaking. Economic
Truly
development strategies
fucking-
needed to sustain and expand existing businesses are among the economic strategies in the adopted plan. And the plan specifically places emphasis on, and I quote, increasing efforts to retain and expand existing business. This is right in the heart of this rezoning. Next is the drawing by Lee Royer showing the existing area in crosshatched and the proposed addition to the rural business district zoning in the back. That's the 3-acre parcel. This was originally a used car dealership. That's how it became RB initially. The next is the chart showing all of the other businesses, including Myers Motors, that were rezoned to RB in the 2014 comprehensive zoning. Next are a map and an enlargement showing the neighborhood, and we would ask that the neighborhood the village along for the linear commercial and mixed commercial development along that segment of Leitersburg Pike in about a half a mile in each direction. Next, you'll see a picture showing where the Estes property sits, and behind that,
High priestess is out.
behind that into both sides, the Schroyer farm. Next is a property graphic showing the Schroyer farm in the context of the Freedom Trailers business along Leitersburg
There's a
Pike.
deep
Next are two photographs showing the
power
existing lot, and you'll see
their
the open
intention.
field in the back there. That's
And when that lightning
the
struck,
area
I
of
was like,
rezoning.
why didn't it just move a little bit more towards
Tree line.
Hagerstown?
The rest of the photos depict the commercial character.
But I saw
of
it
the
as a
neighborhood in which
sign
the
from
proposed
the
rezoning
goddess or
is.
the high priestess
Present
that
and
she's got
finally
our
in the
back,
packet,
no matter
representative
what.
sampling of some of the typical customers taken from Mrs. Testa's assemblage of business cards over the years.
The
So
next
with that,
day,
I'll ask Mr. Testa to
that's when the
testify
war
briefly,
went
if I may.
slightly almost nuclear
Mr. Testa, have you been sworn?
in Iran.
Yes, sir.
And, microphone a little closer. State your full name
David Paul Testa Jr.,
and where do you live?
20523
Oh,
Leitersburg.
we're going to talk over that.
You
So
also own a business property there?
I do, right next door to it.
may he be covered in light.
You lease that property?
Cover that man in light. Seems like he's doing a good job.
Lease the property behind it.
Yes, no, you own the business now and the property.
Yes,
I'm sorry, excuse me. And you're proposing to subdivide and purchase 3 acres?
yes,
Is that as shown on the drawing that's been submitted into evidence?
yes.
There's something backwards in America where
What brought you to this point of?
people like this have to come in with all their cards out.
The business expanded.
Explain the expansion, explain the success that you've had.
It's been phenomenal. I appreciate the area and everything that it's given us.
What types of customers do you have in the community?
Man, all kinds.
Some of them serve the agricultural and rural communities.
Oh, he doesn't know it.
Um,
I'm
and
crying because it's just
If you're able
these
to
are the
get this
types of
property
people that
rezoned, is it
they're
your
going to try and
intent
put a
subdivide it
concentration
and
camp near.
purchase it?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any opposition from any of your neighbors?
Nope, I don't believe so.
Does Mr. Schroyer support this rezoning?
Absolutely.
Planning any new buildings or structures at the present time?
At the present time, no.
This lawyer was probably just like, say yes, no, yes, no. Let's get through this.
I think that's all we need to put into the
Yep.
record.
Good lawyer right there.
Yes, sir.
Just let him do his job and leave him the fuck alone.
Okay.
Cover him with light.
So
Let's cover this man with light.
We
Cover
will
his
now
business
open
with light.
the hearing for public comment. Please come forward as your name is called.
Unless somebody in the public
First on the
comments is
list
like,
is
fuck this guy.
Curtis
I
Ray.
don't feel that. I got good cards here. And these are the type of people that are trying to put these concentration camps around. Okay. Cute. Real cute.
Hello, I'm Curtis Ray. I live in Hagerstown, Maryland. I think this is a good idea to allow.
Wait, there's an
Can
objection.
you stop my time real quick? What?
Mr. Wants, the record will be noted that of your objection. Thank you.
Why is there an
I need
objection?
like 10 seconds, if you don't mind.
You may proceed.
All right. So I want to say that I am actually for the rezoning. And the reason being is, as people that have owned small businesses, you understand that it is extremely hard to acquire any form of real estate at a decent price. And then on top of that, they're already an established business. Who wants to leave your roots to go buy a commercial property or a heavy industrial property or any industrial property just to move what you already have? I think it's a good idea to allow the rezoning, and these small businesses are our lifeblood. Most small businesses do not have the capital to just go out and acquire massive amounts of real estate. Or have that
We
type of
did, the
liquidity
federal
to buy them.
government.
And because of that, I would say I'm a very large advocate for this. I think you should do it. There's no real reason not to. And it would make business a lot easier for the individual that's going for the acquisition of it. And then on another note, I also think you guys need to kind of address the fact that utilities are getting outrageous in the county. There's no reason that you guys should not have made a proclamation about it. People are drowning in their electrical
Yeah, they're gonna
bills.
say it's
They're drowning in
adequate.
their wastewater bills.
Mr.
Their
Ray,
water bills.
Mr. Ray, you've gotten off topic here. We understand you're for this applicant.
Will they allow
We're
public
not gonna
comment for
get
that
into a
kind of stuff?
discussion about utilities and other things that are.
They're not going to do that.
Mr. Ray, I'm going to ask you to step away from the microphone. Please turn the microphone off.
I'm not laughing at this guy.
Mr. Ray, you're out of order. I'm going to ask you one more time to step away from the microphone.
I'm not laughing at the dude. I'm just like, this
I'm going to
commission.
ask you to leave. Deputy, I'm going to ask Mr. Ray to leave the podium.
Yeah, people are asking. I'm back on there. Deport the commissioners. All concerns are valid. Our children going to be held at the processing center, which they're calling it a processing center now. It's a detention center. They're saying like people won't be there past a week. I don't believe them. Look at Dilly. You can hear protesters outside.
Okay, next on the list is Sean Porter.
Do I have to state my name for the record?
Please.
Oh, these guys are like,
My name is Sean Porter.
he's not here to talk about.
Noted,
It's
Mr.
like
Watts, thank you.
He's like a TikTok dude.
I understand why I don't have standing to make a public comment about rezoning in Washington County. Could you please clarify why you're objecting to me?
He could do a lot better than what he does. Because he tried to go after my friend and her kid, but he really put his energy towards something like better. He could be
Okay, well, anyhow,
a good leader.
yeah, I'm for this. I actually have, I believe, visited the trailer dealership in question. I think that it is a great fucking location for trailers, and they should be able to expand their operation. I don't see why the government should say no in this case. I also think that we, like the previous speaker, should in fact bring back public comment and should investigate your child molestation allegations to the fullest.
Okay, Mr. Porter, I'm going to
The
ask you to step
president
away from the microphone.
allegedly is like
You,
one of the
your comments,
Back on topic?
no, you're
brings
finished.
it up and they won't like ever question
No,
it.
Cut me off preemptively.
You've
They
been
won't ever
warned, Mr.
question
Porter.
it.
When was I warned? It's on record that I wasn't warned. I was objected to by Mr. Watts over here. So anyway,
This is why they want to allow public comment. It's
I'm gonna
against
ask you-
they don't want it to get out of hand, but if you don't,
You're finished. I said,
I can't hear
if
you.
you want things to
Mr.
not get out of
Presiding
hand, you
Officer,
should
I
allow
said you are
public
finished.
comment.
Please step away from the microphone.
You
need to
were
ask
supposed
him
to
to
warn me
leave.
first, and you
I
didn't.
need-
So you can't do that. You have to let me get back on topic.
You
So
can-
back to the zoning.
You continue to argue with me. I'm going to ask you to leave the chambers.
Would benefit greatly from this
Deputy,
zoning map amendment change. What, you're gonna cut me off?
you have been cut off.
I have not been cut off. I'm standing here talking. Obviously, I'm not cut off.
Get the
Ask the
deputy.
The Earth Guardians
I'm
are
going to ask
back.
you one more time, very
People.
politely,
You already asked him to leave.
to leave.
Okay, so back to the zoning
Leave.
map amendment.
Turn the microphone on.
It is off. What was that? Who did? You're telling me you give me a lawful order? Will I get arrested if I ignore your lawful order? My God, the tyranny.
This is the Star Nursery, the Ace of Cups. I asked for recommendations on like why in the hell am I out? It is all about love on this planet.
Okay.
But
That
dear Lord,
concludes the public hearing, and, I'm sorry? Okay, thank you, sir.
they're gonna give you a reason.
That does
to go.
conclude the public hearing. Commissioners, your comments and thoughts. Oh,
There's
okay, I'm
something
sorry.
being activated today, but we're not going to know. And this is
Sorry,
just
Commissioners, just a quick
energy.
clarification. This next portion is if the Commissioners have any questions for staff or applicant prior to deliberation.
None for me.
I have no questions.
No question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got a little unnerved there.
Close the hearing.
Well, he's accusing you of some big stuff, and nobody ever
Okay, now the
questions
public
you,
hearing
bro.
is concluded. Recommendations?
Motion to support.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second for support. You ready to vote? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, 4-0. Thank
I know
you.
they went off topic, so I don't know where they're at.
Congratulations, and the best of your business.
It is 9:51. Where are they supposed to be at? Something about golf courses.
Sorry, President Barr, just a quick note of clarification. There will be a written decision brought back for formal adoption by the board at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me get my bearings here straight. Next up, under tab 2 is the American Red Cross Month proclamation. And I think we have some folks here from Red Cross.
Oh, they're doing a lot of proclamations for things. I'm going to keep it on low. And I'm going to talk about
Thank you, Commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity.
Project Saltbox. Okay, so Project Saltbox is on Substack.
Our American Red Cross was founded.
And Project Saltbox is on Substack. They're doing more like the news of this particular warehouse. They're also looking across the country, but they are very much like geared towards Baltimore. And then they kind of looked out at Hagerstown and throughout Maryland, and it was released. And I originally saw the email through Hagerstown Rapid Response that these commissioners that are speaking right now requested $381 million. That's what a Maryland county wanted for supporting an ICE warehouse. So what came out was this email, and it's interesting because one of the commissioners that resigned, I believe, don't quote me here, was still on the board when all of this went down. He resigned and he worked under the Trump administration. So this is part of the email, and I'll read it. You can read the full article on projectsaltbox.com through their Substack. Interstate 81 lane widening. Maryland has 12.5 miles of Interstate 81, I-81, and all of 12.5 miles are located in Washington County. I-81 is part of the Federal Transportation Network and will serve as the primary interstate access for this new ICE processing facility. Now, I actually drove up there when we still had in Maryland something called Snow Creek. And there was I went over to the warehouse just to see it. And in order to divert out of the warehouse, I got stuck on I-81, which is an interstate as opposed to a more local Interstate 70. And I was like, this is a problem. There's something weird here. So they were diverting traffic. And my first thought was, you can transport people pretty much to any, basically this sets up something that I would consider, this is my opinion, not facts, allegedly, an HT situation. So now that I see this email come out, I'm like, girl, keep trusting your hunches, because I feel stupid just being here doing this every Tuesday and saying what my intuition and hunches are. But I have to trust the fact that my deep intuition is on point. It might be before it happens, but it's on point. So I need to also say, I called this out on my videos weeks ago, and I do think that my question was, is part of this facility also connected to tunnels? Like, if I were to go up to public forum, I would be like, are there any confirmed tunnels in the area? I just want to ask, because I have questions about this based on what I'm observing through the reports at Dilley Detention Center that are atrocious, especially related to children's health and women's health and their safety. So they go forward and say, for the last 25 years, Washington County has been unsuccessful at securing funding from the Maryland Department of Transportation to widen I-81 from 4 lanes to 6 lanes to address public safety issues on this major freight corridor. That is something to also state that it is a major freight corridor. Where do those freight shipments come from? Boats. I-81 is a critical federal, generally, allegedly, potentially, and trains. I-81 is a critical federal interstate highway that spans from Tennessee to New York, aiding commerce in the region and throughout the East Coast. We ask you to help facilitate the allocation of Federal Department of Transportation funding, and their range is from $300 to $350 million to ensure that this critical safety improvement to Federal Interstate 81 in Washington County becomes a reality for the region and our community. Please let me know if you need additional information and would be best, and who would be the best person to contact regarding this project at the county's needs. And then it highlighted is, we look forward to partnering and working with DHS on this endeavor and welcome the opportunity to host a future meet and greet with the Trump administration. Now, there is another email where they formally invite President Trump, and they formally invite JD Vance. But to me, my spidey sense is like, okay, this is not just about this highway. And I'll leave it there. So now they're giving people Red Cross recognition.
Our neighbors in need through their voluntary and selfless contributions. They make a life-saving difference in people's darkest hours, whether it is delivering shelter, food, and comfort during disasters, providing critical blood donations for hospital patients, supporting military families, veterans, and caregivers throughout the unique challenges of service, saving lives with first aid, CPR, and other skills.
Fights on these chats, and you just said quiet piggy to somebody.
Loved ones separated by global crisis.
Excellent.
And whereas the Red Cross assists families
what the fuck,
impacted by disasters such as a home fire or flood, installs free smoke alarms, making homes safer. Educate students in
it's just a question I have. Obviously, if you want to read everything, go to Project Saltbox or Hagerstown Rapid Response.
We, the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Maryland,
I'm just a tarot reader. Ace of Swords, Ace of Activations, Pineal Gland.
Who lead with their hearts to serve people in need, and we ask everyone to join in this.
Intuitively, it's about like clarity and intuition. And I intuitively feel like it was just that guy that they had that was an intelligence guy. They put him on the board.
Yes, and let
for
me
this
take
deal.
a moment. She's running actually,
You
one
knew how to
time,
handle
I know
it.
you were running a little ahead. Let me introduce Deborah
You
Fleming.
knew how
our
to speak to the
executive director.
administration.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, this week is a very creative week. That includes, we're going to see a lot of things politically that we're just like, what in the hell is going on?
to alleviate human suffering in the face of disasters. And it's really, I think you could be really proud of your community for having those 60 volunteers who not only help Washington County, but spread across county lines and state lines as well. Sorry, I'm out of breath. In Washington County alone, our volunteers have responded to 32 fires last year and have responded to 68 disaster operations. We provided
Again, this card comes through. It does feel like there's a lot, like energetically, just in our being that comes through rest this week. Just being in meditation and quietly being in energy, our own energy.
Alarms in 69 homes, making 69 homes safer.
Because we're watching a shift in power. And
2,250 people.
This board of commissioners is one type of man,
really appreciate you
one type of like homogenous white man. I don't think they care. And it's not isolated to this particular county or this particular state. It's an energy, you know?
Let's redo the pictures in front of the flags.
Let me look at why Washington County is named Washington County. Lineage. Why is Washington County named? I'm just gonna look up. Washington County. For thousands of, this is from Wikipedia. For thousands of years, Native Americans inhabited the lands that would later form Washington County. Archaeological evidence suggests that an Iroquoian people known as the Susquehannock occupied the region around 1600. In early 17th century, England began to settle lands on the Chesapeake Bay to east of present-day Washington County. Contact between the Susquehannock and the English settlers was limited until English merchant William Claiborne from Virginia began trading with the Susquehannock in the 1630s. In 1634, England established the province of Maryland as an English colony with their founding of St. Mary's City to the southeast of present-day Washington County. English-Susquehannock relations then began to deteriorate as Maryland formed an alliance with the Piscataway people. That's the point of rock when the lightning struck. Who were a frequent target of the Susquehannock raids. The founding of the province also disrupted the trade alliance with Claiborne, as he refused to acknowledge Maryland's authority. In 1641, the governor of Maryland declared the Susquehannock enemies of the province, and the Susquehannock raids on Maryland and the Piscataway continued intermittently until 1652.
And operate a thriving industry in Washington County.
Why did they name it after Washington, though?
Literally nationally award winning. They are not just for show.
So there was like an acquisition, and in winter of 1652, the Susquehannock were attacked by the Mohawk, and also the attack was repulsed. It led the Susquehannock negotiating the Articles of Peace and Friendship with Maryland. I feel like in my crown chakra I need to read this. The Susquehannock relinquished their claim to the territory on either side of the Chesapeake Bay. I wonder, and reestablished their order trading relationship with the English.
Chris works to create the balance between strengthening agriculture businesses and preserving our working landscapes through the county's ongoing land preservation efforts. Thank you for supporting our department's efforts and for recognizing today as National Agriculture Day with this proclamation.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do and the support of the farmers throughout our community. We're quite well known in Washington County particularly for our dairy farms, but there's all kinds of farms, so.
Thank you.
It's a farming community.
quite well. We do have a proclamation. Anybody have any?
Even near the
volunteers?
warehouse, there is Purina Mill and Tractor Supply. No, not a Tractor Supply, like plant, like a, or a mill.
Proclamation National Agriculture Day. Whereas agriculture remains one of Washington County's most historic, diverse, and economically significant industries, providing essential products. And National Agriculture Day serves as an annual opportunity to recognize and celebrate the contributions of farmers, agribusinesses, producers, educators, and agriculture-related organizations across the nation. And the Board of County Commissioners recognizes the agricultural community for continuing to strengthen our local economy, support food security, and preserve the working landscapes that make our community unique. Washington County Department of Business and Economic Development is committed to supporting and advancing the agricultural industry and proudly recognizes the exceptional work and dedication of Kelsey Cadle, agricultural business specialist whose leadership, creativity, and community-focused efforts have significantly enhanced agricultural promotion,
The one that
strengthened stakeholder engagement, and
I want to look at is this highway budget, but
we, the
it
Board of
doesn't
County
look like they're
Commissioners
going
of
to talk
Washington
about
County,
it
Maryland,
much.
hereby recognize March 24th,
So it looks like they're just
2026
passing something, and they're probably all going to pass it.
and encourage all residents
So that's
to
what's
join
coming
in
up
the celebration
next.
and support our local farming operations. Awarded this 24th day of March 2026, signed by all the county commissioners.
And then they go for another hour.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And then it's just like a bunch of county things. There's nothing really related to the warehouse today that I can see, other than coming later on, which is, let me see if I can get back to 1. There we go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And then they go into closed session. So they're doing, where is it? For inmate phone service, inmate tablet, inmate visitation, inmate mail processing. But I don't know if that's part of it. So I don't know.
Okay, next up is under tab 4, FY27 highway budget. Gentlemen?
So here's where I want to hear this part, because it's this, that's part of Project Saltbox, and we'll see.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Eshelman, Director of Public Works.
Good morning, Zane Rao, Deputy Director of Highways.
We're here to review the proposed FY27 highway budget, which totals $15.1 million. As many of you know, the Highway Department is responsible for maintaining the county's road system, which includes patching, roadside mowing, ditch clearing, winter maintenance, line striping, pavement marking, signal maintenance. We also do fleet services for the county. So that's what we're here to talk about today, which is the operating budget. I think it's important to remember that the highway fund is a fund, and so there's revenues and expenses, and that on the revenue side, as many of you have been here before, we like to keep this at the forefront. The highway user fund used to predominantly be the mechanism by which this was paid for, and since 2009, that has no longer been the case. And the highway fund, again, is the share of state.
Something's happening with the collective awakening, so I don't think it's today, but I think
then
this is
distributed
like a
to the
piece of
counties and municipalities. And so since that reduction, it's predominantly been funded by the county general fund. And so each year we keep that as a priority at the state level to restore those funds in a more equitable manner. And so it's particularly important to remember because this is the last year for the current bill in Annapolis before there's a further reduction. So Presently,
I
the
did see
county
that
share is
lightning
only
strike,
3.6%
and that's something, and I don't
of the
think it was
highway
just
user
for
revenues, and
Maryland.
that
I think it was a
totals
signal.
about 3.4 million of revenue.
This is return
And
of the
so at
mother
the end
tree.
of fiscal year 28, the share will drop to 1.5% if no action is taken. And again, bear in mind, the historical average used to be 15.3% was our share. So it is a big factor, of course, at the state level, and then how that
We're all
impacts us
connected.
locally with the funding necessary to maintain our roads. On the expense side, there's multiple categories that are outlined. So there's general operations, road maintenance, snow removal, storm damage, traffic control, and fleet maintenance. And so by and large, we're not really
Origins of
requesting any
light.
major line item increases other than the
Just asking
standard
for the collective right now.
for the
This
wages
is, I
relative
think,
to the
kind of
COLA
like the
step
downloads
and
that Earth
salary
is
decompression.
receiving,
So
the
I'll
grid
turn it over to
lines of
Zane.
the
He's going to
Earth.
cover a few more
And there
points on
must
the
be a
expense
grid
side.
line.
Real
in
quick, I'd
certain
like to thank
areas.
staff for assistance in coming up with a budget. We tried to stay conservative. Our operating was up 66,870 or 1.47%. Capital outlay was
Harmony. There's
up
like a harmonic upgrade.
7.57.
So I
And over half
don't
of
think
that,
this is
well,
related to ICE. I
73,000
will be
is
back.
total.
I'm
Half
going
of
to leave
that
this live on while they're
goes to the
live.
upgrade of software for
I'm
3
going
of
to
our fueling
put
sites.
BRB on here.
And while I'm on the fueling situation, I wanted to give you an update on what we're paying now. For tanker delivery for gas is $2.79 a gallon, $4.48 for diesel. Last year at this time, we were at $2.12 for gas and $2.36 for tanker loads of diesel fuel. So going forward, that sort of worries me a little bit, what it's going to do when we start seeing, if and when we start seeing fuel charge added to our salt deliveries, material deliveries. I don't know how long these prices keep climbing. This morning I saw gas was $4 a gallon at Sheetz on Pennsylvania Avenue and $5.60 for diesel. I've heard in places it's over $6 for diesel. Somebody told me in Virginia over the weekend. So that's not good, as that keeps climbing. It affects our overlay.
Never mind, I'm trapped.
So
okay.
With that, does anybody have any questions?
If you hear banging in the background, it's because my door is locked.
I had a discussion last week with some citizens about how
I'm not trapped.
why
I just
certain roads are selected over others. There's a process on, I would say, the amount of traffic and wear and tear, and we do have a process in place to make sure it's fair on the roads that we.
Is there anything else?
You mean for overlay roads?
Overlay and the chip and seal.
I just think that, okay, I'm just going to go.
Engineering runs.
I'm going to stop sharing this. If you, okay. You know what? It's live. It's live. So, A, if you hear banging in the background, I am locked. I am locked. I film in a basement and there's a door. It's like a cellar door, and the cellar door has been locked, but I can go around. I'm not trapped in here. But I don't think listening to the whole county commissioner hearing is going to do any good right now with my energy. But what I do think we're going through are some earth upgrades. And I think part of this witnessing, this observing, not being in it, or being of it but not in it, observing but not being trapped in the energy, is one piece of this that's really important to kind of note. And it's definitely a time where I think we are leveling up. So the lightning that struck, I do think, was an indicator of whatever shift we were going on, whether people want to call this new earth, whether we want to call it whatever. Obviously, we're watching around the world, global shifts, weather events, not, in the United States, there's insane weather. Hawaii is flooding. There's fires in Nebraska. There's record heat in the western side of the United States, and then extremely, extreme blizzards. And then where I am in Maryland, we kind of got it all. We got, it was like a smorgasbord of weather that we got. And when that lightning struck the other day, the Super Bowl, I was like, pay attention to this. Now we have meteors. Who the hell knows? Are they intelligent beings? Is this the Bledsoe kind of observation of, when Iran, Israel, Iran, United States, the missile exchange? Is this part of it? Who knows? I do believe in angels. I trust. I've seen some things in the sky that I cannot explain. I'm still kind of trying really hard to explain it to myself. But I do trust that this is a time of shift. I do trust that this is going to be a big week ahead. I don't know my live schedule right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure it out as I go. I do readings. I do astrology. This particular situation with Maryland's DHS facility is an example of an old government shift. And I'm watching these men who don't realize what they're doing. I don't have anger for them. I don't think a lot of them on that board know really what's up. I think when you're a county commissioner, you're not expecting a literal member of intelligence. It's obviously a really cool thing. Oh my God, this member of intelligence is on our board. We've got somebody here. And then all of a sudden, these deals come through. It's more of a sign of this is a farm town who, as we hear on this meeting, is doing, agriculture day. Somebody's asking for zoning for their private business on their land. It's more to me an abusive move, especially yesterday. I had to kind of sit back and realize that the president used the war for oil bets. That's what he's doing. There are people getting rich off oil bets right now. And they're sending Marines, to not hopefully, but to be part of this week. I hope everybody is safe. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. And so I was really sitting here, trying to mentally digest last night that the president is basically playing oil bets on people's souls, children's souls, and having to sit with the spirituality of that, the anger that comes from people. When I open up any of my apps, people asking me for help with food and water for their kids in Palestine, people asking to not be homeless because they're getting kicked out of their housing situation, people saying, reporting abuse of children yet again at Dilley Detention Center. And it's not isolated to Dilley Detention Center. It is not isolated. And women coming up pregnant as if it's a medical diagnosis at these detention facilities. So it's a really scary thought that this is obviously in a lot of people's backyards right now, even New Jersey. You're not immune to this. You're not immune to this, New York, New Jersey. You're not immune. So it's just kind of, and Cuba being, without power. And I hate that term because Cubans are powerful. Cuba without electricity, people in hospitals dying because they can't be put on ventilators. And this is a collective awakening process. And we're going to see a lot of shit this week. We're going to see a lot because they're going to use Pluto to their advantage. I do believe in my heart of hearts that these politicians, these elites who use politicians as their pawns, because they're not the kings. Trump is a puppet. Trump is a puppet who is being used, but also likes it because he's benefiting off of it. I do think that he doesn't care about the war in Iran at all. He does not care about the outcome. He does not care whether people die. He does not care. You know, these are not normal human soul beings. I don't necessarily know what Trump is, but I don't think he's all, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words. So think of your question. I'm going to put all cards in. I'm going to shuffle really well. I kind of went off the handle, trying to open a basement door in the background so I could pee. And I was like, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to go live. I'm going to end the live. I'm a human woman. This is a live show. Trust Your Glitter with Kristy. Think of your question. Think of maybe a solution. Think of maybe something that you need to work with, whether it's long or short term, and I will answer. You got a guardian here. This is the waterfall, the priestess of earth guardians, and she is the Queen of Pentacles. Now, the Queen of Pentacles does represent really being in that earthy energy. It is related to finances, business. This card does represent making decisions from a very grounded space. And there are solutions, both financially and energetically. It makes me think of human design generator energy, where what lights your soul up allows you to move. So this is about taking impeccable care of your physical body this week and knowing that it is about step-by-step processes. Nothing's moving fast, but this is also related to spring. As you see, she has flowers around her. Now, it's interesting that it's waterfall and it's earth. So I think that the artist's take on this is you need water to help, you know, smooth that ground. I also kind of feel like we're going to see something with water and earth. So yes, we're seeing, for example, flooding in Hawaii, but we're going to have to really pay attention to water, earth. And then she has a little, what is it, a dragonfly on her crown, and dragonfly is connected from water to sky. So I do think that there's something related to still watching the sky, but also I'm going to continue to say watching the water. What's going on with water? What's going on with our illumination on whether it's like water laws or literally like these beings coming out of water. It's a live show. Okay. Healing heart pain. It is about the heart, but you've got to heal your heart pain. And before I went to sleep last night, I was like, in order to really understand what's going on, I've got to do a lot of heart wound healing, and it feels like a lot of us do. So this is like digging into what really, you know, hurt your heart and understanding that you can make it through anything. There's the Akashic tree, the shamanic tree, the celestial tree of the Akash. So I am not an expert on Akashic records, so maybe a little bit of research regarding what the Akashic records mean for you. I still have to continue to educate myself. I feel like I'm an infant right now. We are in spring season, so it's like, where can you learn and what can you learn about your history, your lineage, even if it's your star tribe, your star seeds, where you come from. Lineage. I didn't even know that was the next card. What is your cosmic lineage? And I'll leave it there for today. And have a beautiful day. I'll be back.